Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narottama Devim Saraswati Vyasa Tato Jaya Mantiraya Nasta Praye Svabhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloka Bhakti Bhavaiti Naistiki. So Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 18, text 28 to 29. Title of this chapter is King Yayati regains his youth. All right, I think I'll just go through text 28, then we can get to 29 on the board. Tate Tyavastite Praha Devayani Manugatam Pittadatta Yato Yashe Sanugaya Tumam Anu. Translation. After hearing Sukracharya's request, Vrishapawa agreed to fulfill Devayani's desire, and he awaited her words. Devayani then expressed a desire as follows. Quote, whenever I marry by the order of my father, my friend Samista must go with me as my maid servant, along with her friends. Not only her, along with her friends. Pitradatta Devayanya Samista Sanugatada Swanam Tat Sankatam Bhiksha Tadaptasya Cha Goravam. Word for word translation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. His confounded child, Srila Bhachan being the back to be done to Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Pitra, by the Father. Datta, given. Devayanya, unto Devayani, the daughter of Sukracharya. Samista, the daughter of Vrishapawa. Saanuga, with her friends. Tada, at that time. Swanam, of his own. Tat, that. Sankatam. Dangerous position. Viksha. Observing. Tat. From him. Atasha. Of the benefit. Cha. Also. Gauravam. The greatness. Devayani. Unto Devayani. Paryacharat. Served. Sri Sahasrana. With thousands of other women. That's what? Acting as a slave. Translation. Vishnupada wisely taught that Sukracharya's displeasure will bring danger, and that his pleasure will bring material gain. Therefore, he carried out Sukracharya's order and served him like a slave. He gave his daughter Samista to Devayani, and Samista served Devayani like a slave, along with thousands of other women. Please kindly responsibly repeat. Vishnupada was wisely taught that Sukracharya's displeasure will bring danger, and that his pleasure will bring material gain. Therefore, he carried out Sukracharya's order and served him like a slave. He gave his daughter Samista to Devayani, and Samista served Devayani like a slave, along with thousands of other women. So, purport. In the beginning of these affairs concerning Samista and Devayani, we saw that Samista had many friends. Now these friends became maidservants of Devayani. When a girl married a Kshatriya king, it was customary for all her girlfriends to go with her to her husband's house. For instance, when Vasudeva married Devaki, the mother of Krishna, he married all 6 of her sisters, and she also had many friends who accompanied her. A king will maintain not only his wife, but also the many friends and maidservants of his wife. Some of these maidservants will become pregnant and give birth to children. Such children were accepted as Dasiputra, the sons of the maidservants, and the king will maintain them. The female population is always greater than the male. But since a woman needs to be protected by a man, the king will maintain many girls who acted either as friends or as maidservants of the queen. In the history of Krishna's household, we find that Krishna married 16,108 wives. These were not maidservants, but direct queens. And Krishna expanded himself into 16,108 forms to maintain different establishments for each and every wife. This is not possible for ordinary men. Therefore, although the kings had to maintain many servants and wives, not all of them had different establishments. Magyana Timiranasya, Ganajana Salakaya, Saksul Meditam, Yena Tismai, Si Gorabe Namaha, Sacheta Yamanobistam, Sa Fetam Yena Bhutal, Swayam Rupam Kadamaya, Dadatiswa Padantikam, Vandasi Krishna Chaitanya, Nityananda Sahodita, Godadhaye Puspavanto, Chitu Chandu Tamanadu, Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Si Advaita Gadara, Si Basari, Gora Bhakt Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Etinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurava Chari Devi Sisi Sangandari Pasatari Satarin Vanchakalpatari Vyacha Kripa Sunambhya Evacha Hatitama Pavanam Vaishnava. So this chapter is an interesting social issue. The Bhagavatam constitutes not only a devotional values or devotional culture or devotional philosophy, but the Bhagavatam is a composite of social, spiritual, and even economic and management components of knowledge. So here in this text is basically giving us some understanding about the position of two girls and their fathers. Vrishabhava was the father of Samista, and Samista was a friend of Devayani, whereas Sukracharya was the father of Devayani. And Sukracharya, as we know, he is a very powerful spiritual authority. He is in charge, is the spiritual master of the demons. So, he's a very powerful personality. We've read so much about him in previous cantos. So here is a case where two girls, they were good friends, but there was a little altercation based on some dress misfit or dress mismatch. Now, if we understand, this could be a simple thing to be resolved by both girls. Devayani became very upset, chastised Samista, and Samista overreacted. It's so easy for friends to hurt each other. But if we get hurt by our friends, should we react or should we be proactive? So here's the case of reaction, and not only reaction, overreaction of a friend that resulted to a very grievous crime. Samista dumped Devayani in a well. And by the arrangement of Providence, Yayati came by and rescued her. And in the Vedic culture, when a young girl has to encounter a man, basically, it is understood that she's polluted. And so, with that understanding, and also when Yayati was able to retrieve her from the well, she made a request that she be her protector, her husband. So, the kings, the administrative warriors in the days of yore, they have a culture where if a woman comes to request for a relationship, they don't say no. That was the culture. Because, like Prabhupada mentioned in the purport, the women population is always greater than the population of the men. So the men, especially the Kshatriyas, they were positioned in such a way that they had opulence, they have the resources, fixed and moving assets, so they could cater for the needs, social needs, spiritual needs, economic needs of as many women as possible. And so they were allowed to marry more than one wife. So in this case, when eventually the marriage transpired, Samista has to accompany Devayani. There is a background story to that effect. We have heard about that. So Samista was accompanying Devayani to her husband's place, which is the custom. When you have a girl is getting married, she comes to the husband's place with a host of friends. But Sukracharya, having a foresight, had warned Yayati that you just make sure you don't have an affair with this girl. He said it in a very polite way. Make sure you don't sleep with this girl. There are several ways, several terminologies that are used as a cover-up, a polished way of saying something in a very palatable way, in a very sweet way. So he said, make sure you don't sleep with this girl. I mean, if a beautiful girl is accompanying a man to his household, and here someone says, don't do anything to this girl. Well, the person may say, yes, sure. For sure, nothing will happen. I mean, it's like, and the gross example will be like, the monkeys in Vraj. If you lock up a monkey in a room with ripened bananas, and you tell the monkey, hey boy, don't touch these bananas, okay? And the monkey says, for sure. You know what is going to happen. So, anyway, as could be predicted, there are some events that are predictable. Some situations are unpredictable. Like, we never anticipated coronavirus. But in that circumstance, in that social setting, it will be predicted by any sociologist, any social psychologist, that, something is going to happen. I mean, it's like like a typical case in America, if a girl is talking to a man, and, she tells her friends, we have been talking. Something is going to brew very, very, very soon. So here, Sukracharya understood what was going to transpire, and then he gave a forewarning. But, what to do? Human beings, we have a weakness to succumb to the impact of our emotions. So, anyways, Samista went with Devayani to a new home, and Devayani had become pregnant, gave birth to a child. And one day, Samista made a humble request to King Yayati. I need a son. Give me a son. Give me a son. It's a very euphemistic way of saying so many things in the gross form are covered up here. A girl basically will not tell a man, hey. Anyway. But that's it's a euphemistic way of putting her feelings, her desires across, her projection, what she wants to get from you. Here is not the case of saying, she didn't, because Yayati is already married to her friend, she didn't say, My dear king, you have to marry me too. He said, I need a son from you. Give me a son. In other words, give me some charity, begging for charity. The Kshatriyas, and there are so many cases in the Vedic literature where, women, they go to solicit a relationship with the Kshatriya and they don't turn it down. Why? Because it is against the tradition. It is irreligion for a Kshatriya to turn down a relationship with a woman. That's why the Kshatriyas, they end up getting so many females to fend for, to take care of. So, in this very case, Prabhupada mentioned in one of the purports in this chapter that, yes, Yayati succumbed to the request or yielded to the request. But Prabhupada mentioned that it wasn't due to lust, it was due to dharma. Because the duty, the dharma of the Kshatriya, the social dharma of the Kshatriya, is to be able to fulfill the desires of a woman who comes to them. And we find the case of Bhima. Hidima came and then, said, hey, I need you. And then zoom, they went. But, right, within the present disposition, we don't have Kshatriyas on the planet. We have Kalo Sudra Sambhava. We are all Sudras. So, it's so easy to hear from the Vedic literature, from the Bhagavatam. This is from the Bhagavatam. I'm backed up with this authority. The girl, she came to me, and I'm a Kshatriya, and what can I do? I have to fulfill her desire. Not in this movement. So, in the purport here, Prabhupada gives a correlation, a citing example of the case of Lord Krishna's marriage with 16,108 wives. And in the Bhagavatam, in the 10th canto of the Shrimad Bhagavatam, in Prabhupada's summary work, in the Krishna book, text, chapter 59, it's mentioned specifically, 59 and 58, Krishna mentioned, it's mentioned there how Krishna got married to Kalindi. And again, here's a good stuff. Now, when Krishna was in Dwarka, and when he heard that, he had the survivor of the Pandavas from the fire that was supposed to actually burn them to ashes, the house of Lak. When he heard that they're still on the planet, of course Krishna knew everything, but he has to act like an ordinary human being. We say it's Leela. I think in the academy we will call this a theater art. If you on the theater stage, you have to take different positions. The actors, they have to take different positions. So Krishna is acting here like an ordinary human being. Oh, I've heard that the Pandavas are alive. They survived that attack at the house of Lak that was burned to ashes. So they're still alive. So he went to Hastinapur. He left Dwarka to work. He went to Hastinapur to meet them. Keep in mind, Krishna and the Pandavas, they're cousins. They're first cousins. So they have a very close bond of a relationship. So when he went there, they were very happy to meet him. They were loving exchanges of loving pleasantries. And Krishna ended up staying in Hastinapur for a whole 4 months. And even after the 4 months, they were still pressing that he should stay for more days. That is a bond of the loving relationship. If someone comes to your house and he says, so what's your schedule? When are you leaving? Yes. I would like to know your itinerary. So when are you leaving? Where are you going from here? It means, I don't want you here. Get out from this place. So, as traveling preachers, we encounter a number of things. Sometimes you go to some places and, like the Pandavas, they don't want you to leave. And sometimes you go to some places, they ask, what's the itinerary like, Maharaj? In other words, when are you leaving? But essentially, in the Vedic culture, if a guest come to us, we should, give them that type of hospitality that if even it's time for them to leave, they will be hesitant. So that was exactly how the Pandavas treated Krishna. So quick to the point. Now when Krishna was there at Hastinapur with the Pandavas, so one day he went to the forest with Arjuna. The Prabhupada mentioned that was actually like a preparation for the battle that is coming up on Kurukshetra. Krishna was taking Arjuna into the forest. Arjuna was going for hunting. In those days, Kshatriyas would go for hunting. But they don't go to kill cows and deers. They go to the jungle to search out ferocious animals like lions, tigers, and kill them. Nowadays, the hunters, they go into the forest and kill vultures. They shoot down vultures and shoot down. Anybody can do that. So, as they were going to the forest, one super beauty walked by. And Krishna said, Arjuna, who is that beauty passing by? Go and investigate. What is she looking for? Is she looking for a husband? Arjuna, you go and find out. Go check out things with this girl. She's too beautiful. So Arjuna went to meet this beautiful girl. So Arjuna made inquiries. Oh, beautiful one. Who are you? Why are you alone? You're a young girl. Why are you alone in this bush path? Are you trying to, in modern day times we would say, are you trying to make a catch? But no, those were not the words of Arjuna. He asked, are you looking for a husband? Are you searching for a husband? Are you matured enough for marriage? So this beautiful girl turned to Arjuna and said, yeah, but not you. She said, I want Krishna. I want Krishna to be my husband. She said, I know you are Arjuna, the warrior. Correct? Arjuna said, yes, you are right. He said, okay, so you've gotten your facts. Yes, I'm searching for a husband. I want a husband, but not any husband. I want Lord Krishna as my husband. And then she revealed to Arjuna that I am Kalindi. I live in Jamuna. My father has created a mansion there for me. So you got your message. Thank you. So she left. And it happened that when Arjuna came back to meet Krishna and told him the story, Krishna said, yeah, I will accept her as a wife. No problem. So again, to us, especially for the brahmacharis, so you may have some girl, you are very erudite, and the brahmacharis, they're very radiant. Those who are really following, they're very radiant, they're very attractive. So women, they chase after them. The girls, they chase after them. So then, one of your friends come to tell you that, that girl, she's dying for you. She's really dying for you. She barely wants you for husband. And she has money. She's a banker. What do you want? She can buy you anything you want. She can buy you a house in New York. Buy you a jet plane. And you can still be functioning as a devotee very nicely. In fact, your devotional service will even increase because you can travel to any place you want to go and preach. So, you remember this story, right? When Kalindi wanted Krishna yielded. You are not Krishna. And that girl is not Kalindi. Papa mentioned that all of Krishna's wives, they are expansions of Lakshmi ji, Mother Lakshmi. And so, Krishna married her and, get her on a palanquin to Dwarka. And then Krishna married some other ladies, some other queens, like Mitravinda, a number of them, Satya. So we have 16,100 princes that were in captive, that were captured by Bhaumasura. I'm saying this because Prabhupada mentioned in the purport here about 16,108 wives. So out of these 16,108 wives, 16,100 of those wives were actually captives that Krishna released, freed from the captivity of Bhaumasura. That's a whole long story about that, again in the 10th canto, how Krishna with Satyabhama, they went to the heavenly place after getting a report from Indra, how Bhaumasura has seized the umbrella of Varuna and has taken the jewelries of Aditi. So Krishna couldn't tolerate that, so he went for a rescue. And then he encountered a lot of scuffle with Bhaumasura. Eventually he was able to retrieve Aditi's jewelries and give it to Indra, to give to his mother. Also retrieved the umbrella of Varuna and gave it to Indra to give to Varuna. Or, made sure that Varuna got his umbrella back. And then he fought with Bhaumasura and eventually killed him and released all those girls that Bhaumasura had kept in captivity. Again, in the Vedic culture, if a girl is out of the house for even one night, no man is going to marry her. So they were in captivity, who knows how many days. So these girls, they requested Krishna to marry them. Again, the concept of theater arts comes in, the Leela, where all of these 16,100 princes, again, based on Prabhupada's assertion, they were all expansions of Mother Lakshmi. So he got all of them married. So from Bhaumasura's side, he got 16,100 wives eventually. And the other wives, Rukmini, Satyabhama, Satya, Mitravinda, Lakshmana, there were 8. So that constituted the 16,108 wives of Krishna. So the bottom line is that when Vasudeva married Devaki, Krishna's mom. Devaki also came to her husband's place with very many maid servants. And so that was the culture that was enriched with communism or community. You have friends, and your friends have to go with you to your husband's place at marriage. That is a show of support, social, emotional support. But in the case of Devayani, Samista had the opportunity to also become a parent or a mother by dint of her request and the fulfillment of the request thereof. So we find that the culture of the Kshatriya is completely different. Unfortunately, these days, this set of people, these powerful administrative warriors, they're hardly on the planet. And therefore, this tradition seems to be extinct. Even to maintain one wife is a problem. One wife is a problem. Your wife gives birth, and you don't just come to dump her in the Hare Krishna temple, all in the facade of, be trained to be a devotee. You have to take care of your child. You have to maintain your child. You have to train your child to prepare to be able to integrate into the greater world or the bigger society. At the same time, maintaining his or her spiritual consciousness, devotional culture. So the situations have changed. One wife, Prabhupada mentions, one wife even we cannot maintain. We cannot maintain nicely. I remember, I don't want to mention the country, but one country that I was serving some years ago, there was one devotee who was agitating, one of the leaders was agitating. He wanted, because one girl was chasing after him, he said he wanted that girl. So, but they said, but you already married. He said, but I need 2 wives. The devotee told him, not here. So Krishna consciousness is about trying to curtail our excesses, trying to create a sense of regulation. And this regulation is easily attained when we are attentive to our devotional culture, our sadhana. And therefore, it is important for us to understand that social life is there in devotional life. But at the same time, there are procedures that guide our social pursuits. Our social culture is determined by certain circumstances. So, these are very nice stories which is expounding the fact that marriage is allowed in devotional life. Marriage is allowed. Lord Chaitanya himself was married before he gave up. He renounced. And Prabhupada himself was married before he renounced. So, don't feel shy. And we have very many beautiful girls in our movement. So don't feel shy. No one is locking you up. You must not do this. But if you want to do anything, if you even want to marry, you should follow a proper procedural methodology so that it does not create any havoc. It does not cause some distraction. So, again, back to the point, fundamental point about the support that is given by friends of a young girl who gets married. Unfortunately, sometimes a girl is married and her friends, instead of giving her support, they become envious. That's not good. And so we have to understand that spiritual life is all encompassing. Social life is there. Our devotional sadhana is there. Our economic development is also there, because when we have a family, we have to maintain the family. We can't say, well, I'm a devotee, I just do my japa and Krishna will provide everything. Krishna is not going to go to the mall to buy the groceries and make the halava and throw it down from Krishna Loka to us. Isn't it? So yeah, Sukracharya was very assertive, but anyway, the predictable happened. And so we have to understand that, keeping a man and a woman in the same place and just giving them a warning that don't do anything to her, okay? It may not work. We've seen here. I have some comments and some questions on this point. We have 10 more minutes. Yes.
Maharaj, thank you. You make it so interesting, the extent that you make it look like there's nothing new. But I want to relate this topic to to our previous Acharya's teachings, because from the previous text, we found that providence was being mentioned. And we heard from the scripture that there are some certain things that when they come on their own, you don't need to reject it.
Okay.
Yes. It comes on its own.
Yes.
You have to accept things that come on its own. So I don't know, you maybe have a comment on that. That is first question. The second one is it all sounds not like you mentioned. Okay, first of all, try to explain that idea.
Okay. Yeah, since the python, the python stays in one place and it gets its food there. The food naturally comes, There's a provision for survival of human beings. Yeah, when things come of their own accord, we have to figure out, what is my ashram? First question is, what is my ashram? What do I want to do with my life? Is it going to be able to facilitate my perfection in devotional life? It came out of his own accord. But these are the questions we should ask ourselves. Is this something that is going to enhance my devotional upliftment? Is it something that is going to facilitate my Krishna consciousness? Is it something that is going to enable the attainment of Krishna prema? Then you make the judgment yourself. What's the next point?
The next question that I want to reflect on. Like we see the principles that Vrindavan is applying. How do we coin that principle?
Which principle?
He had that he reflects that if Sukracharya is being triggered, something else will happen. So there's a way he nailed down himself to tackle the situation. So what kind of principle is that?
It's not vividly mentioned here, so I can speculate. I'm sorry. You see, I asked a question to one senior devotee several years ago when I was a brahmachari, because I'm sorry, but I'm a scholar. At doctoral level, I'm a specialist in leadership and organizational change. And you go to my website, you see my works, publications. One of the things I've developed recently is a model that I call sonic therapeutic intervention. And Prabhupada is the originator of that model. And so I use that model to be able to provide solutions to especially leadership and management issues, and as well as spiritual and social issues. So here we find situations that are difficult to deal with. So my point is, if you ask me a question and I don't know, I should be frank with you and tell you, boy, I don't know. I'm not omniscient. Now I asked a question several years ago to somebody, a senior person, in a moment, and he said, because he knew I'm a scholar and I want some reference, if whatever he says, I will need a reference, because I will repeat that stuff to people or to scholars. So, but then I asked a question and he said, oh, I don't know, but I'll find out. I'll find out from other senior devotees. He said he could even go up to, some specific devotees he mentioned to go to find out. So I waited. I waited for a while and didn't get a response back from him, so I got back to him. I sent him a mail and said, yeah, I'm still waiting for you to get your response. And then, you know what he said? He said, oh, that question you asked, that's not necessary. It's, the personalities you're asking about, they are in neutral relation. That's a neutral relationship and you don't need it. So I said, see, look at my age. I am not a baby. I voluntarily joined this movement. I'm seeking for information, knowledge, devotional culture. You don't treat me like a baby. If you don't know something, you tell me you don't know. Don't dissuade me from prosecuting what I want to know. So with that in mind, yes, that statement is there here, but it's not specifically mentioned. I've gone through the summary of this chapter. It's not mentioned. So I cannot say. Yeah.
You were mentioning that Krishna's pastimes about that Lakshmi Devi is an expansion of all his 8 wives which he had. Then Krishna also expanded himself with them, or he was one with them?
No. If you read again the 3rd canto, that very chapter, he mentioned that, Prabhupada mentioned categorically, that Krishna expanded into 16,108 forms. And that's what Prabhupada refers here to as establishments. So someone may say, well, I'm a powerful person, but where are your establishments? If you are one person, you want to pursue 10 sex partners. You have to go to one person one day, one person one night, one lady another night. Krishna expanded himself to 16,108 forms to cater for the emotional support of all of those queens. And different palaces, 16,108 palaces. Even to get a flat to live, for instance, in New York, is very expensive. Not to talk of a palace. And sometimes people want to marry, and I ask my mentees, if someone says they want to marry you, you have to know how they'll be responsible to you. How do they have the resources to cater for you? So if you want to marry and you don't even have a house. I remember one boy, one of my friends, when he was in college, he was reading mechanical engineering, and he told me one day, Maharaj, his final year in university, he said, Maharaj, I think I should get married. I said, sure, that's a good idea. But how much do you have in the bank? How much money do you have in the bank? He said, nothing. And he was going to school from the temple. They gave him a room, and he was going to college from the temple. I said, but where's your house? You have a house to put the wife? He said, no wife, that. I'm just staying in the temple. I said, but you need, I said, you want to marry means you want to be a householder. Householder. Holding a house. Where is the house you are holding? Anyway, I went, because it's my friends, I treat them sometimes very roughly. So, I said, you know what? You just want sex. And because in this movement, we are not allowed to make boyfriend and girlfriend